another week of a friendly nudge. Hey, since we're talking about protein this week, it seemed like only appropriate that we cook some steaks. And I think one of the easiest ways to cook steaks, especially if you don't have a super powerful vent hood, is to use a coal skillet to cook the steaks in. I mean, obviously we're going to heat it up, but you start the skillet cold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in a second how I always like dry brine the steaks if I have time. So we're going to do that. We're going to use we're going to make a pan sauce with chicken broth, red wine, butter, and some thyme. And instead of using the lemon, I ended up using some Dijon mustard in the pan sauce. So what I do is I take the steaks and kind of get them, just dry them off with a paper towel, and I put them on a wire rack over a sheet pan. And then I'm going to season them like liberally with salt, because what's going to happen is that the moisture in the steak is going to come up and in essence dissolve the salt, and then that's going to go back into the meat. And so this is the way that you end up getting, tender protein. It's going to be well seasoned. I just pat it in with my hand, and then I'm going to flip them over and do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to put these in the fridge anywhere from like 8 hours is kind of a great spot. Overnight's also excellent. But the skillet is not hot. I put the steaks in there, and now I'm going to turn them every 2 minutes. So I set a timer for 2 minutes and flip them. The first 2 minutes on each side, you keep the flame on high, and then you turn it down to medium. And you're just, every 2 minutes, it's kind of like I ought to call it a metronome steak, because it's just every 2 minutes. All right, now then we're going to flip it over again. And what you're going to see is you start building this real, it's called fond at the bottom of the skillet. And you'll also start to develop a nice crust on the steaks. So it's just 2 minutes, flip it over. And then here in just a minute, I'll start checking the internal temperature on the steaks, because I want to pull them out when they're about 125. That's in essence where we're at for medium rare, because they're going to continue to rise just a little bit after we take them out of the skillet. So just, I'm just going to continue. I wasn't at the temp I was looking for. And, also if you leave the steaks out at room temperature for about 45 minutes before you put them into the skillet, that also will make a difference. But I'm just continuing. We're going to be getting pretty close, I think, on temp. And, I will take it various places across the steak, because a lot of times if you check the temperature right at the very edge, it's going to be a lot warmer than if you check it more towards the middle. But, this is one of the reasons that I like an instant read thermometer, is because it lets you kind of control that cooking process. So got them both up to temp. Now I'm just going to take some wine and just put enough to cover the bottom of the skillet. And then I'm going to use a spatula to go ahead and start getting that fond off the bottom and get it dissolved into the wine. As we cook the wine, heat it, we're going to go ahead and cook off the alcohol. And I want to cook it long enough to where it starts to thicken a little bit. So I've turned the heat up. So we're going to just try to concentrate the flavors in the wine. So as you can see there, we've reduced the volume some. Now I'm going to add chicken stock. And I'm, once again, just going to add enough to where it's, in essence, covering the bottom of the skillet. And then we're going to let that go for a few minutes. We're just going to continue until it starts to thicken. Once it does that, then I'm going to add some butter. And once again, this is a fairly large amount of sauce, so I added a couple of pretty good chunks of butter. And I'm going to get that stirred in, because what I want to do is that, in essence, this kind of adds gloss to the stock, or to the pan sauce. So just decided it needed a little extra butter, so I added that in. And then, what I do with all of this is it's like, okay, once I've got it to where it kind of feels like, all right, I've got the right thickness that I'm looking for. I want to figure out, does it need, some kind of a brightener? In other words, do I want to add acid to it? And I decided instead of adding lemon, I'm going to add Dijon mustard because it also acts as like an emulsifier. So it helps thicken the stock or the pan sauce, and you can see pretty quickly it starts to like really kind of thicken it up. And the Dijon with the butter and the wine and the chicken stock just makes an excellent pan sauce. So you can see now that it's quite a bit thicker. And so we're going to kill the heat. And, got to do the taste test again to figure out, okay, does it need salt? Where is it? It's exactly where I wanted it. So now just putting it over the steak. So enjoy your week and be sure that you play with your food. See y'all next week.